So Elizabeth, what made you decide to get into property investing in the first place?
Well, when I started, I was desperate. I was really desperate. I was looking for something to give me a passive income so that I don't have to do 4 jobs. Initially to cover my living expenses. And that was the frustration, that was the desperation that actually got me involved in real estate.
Okay, but you started in residential property, I think, didn't you?
That's
You built
right.
up quite a significant portfolio of residential property. How did that turn out for you? Was it really passive income?
Well, it was before because you can actually get a good return in double digit. But obviously things have changed.
Well, I mean, there's been a huge change in the tax treatment applied to that, hasn't there, with Section 24? I mean, I still get the impression that a lot of residential landlords don't understand how big an impact that's going to have.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, because it's actually in phases, I think it started about 4 or 5 years ago with the local government, actually. I remember that I have to pay for property license. Property license, which is about £200-300 per property. And I remember I have to pay about £14,000, and that wasn't the end. You know, then you have all this stream of regulation and legislation. So obviously it felt like a war on personal wealth, and so, you know, so most people haven't actually realized how detrimental and costly it's going to be sooner or later. So unless you actually try to diversify into something else that can give you a regular income and something away from residential property, the return is going to turn into bad loss, really.
Absolutely. Now, I've been, mentoring you for about 3 years now, and I've been saying you need to diversify out of residential property.
Yeah, that's right.
What was it that finally tipped you over the edge to start doing that?
You have tax, and you have inflation, interest rates, and, you know, if you invest overseas, you have exchange rate to bear with. And now all these devil just come up, and you know, because I invest overseas, and you know, it's been disaster because there's quite a lot of changes in regulation. Exchange rate has been weird because of Brexit. So because of all that, I need something like an asset that is going to be giving me a return that is long term, and also that is going to be, if you like, hands-free. And that's why I've decided to invest in dementia care homes.
Oh, absolutely. It's such a what I call a mega trend now. You know, we've got 2,000 people a day turning 70 in this country every day for the next 19 years. The latest report from Knight Frank says that we're going to have a shortage of 160,000 dementia care beds in just 3 years. So, you know, what you're doing now is A, you're investing into a big trend, and B, you're moving from residential to commercial property.
That's right, yes.
Where there's no 3% stamp duty hike,
That's right.
there's no Section 24,
That's right.
you know, and also lower capital gains when you sell.
That's right, yeah.
It still pains me that a supposedly conservative government has had such a vendetta against private landlords.
That's right, yeah.
But we are where we are.
Unless people try to change and make sure that they invest more in commercial, it's going to be really detrimental in terms of returns for them, because this is coming. I mean, this is going to be here in 2020.
That being all said, you know, one of the real benefits, I think, of moving into something like dementia care is that you actually lease the property back to the care home operator.
That's right.
And they do all the work. So it really is passive income.
That's right.
Now, you had an experience recently that was caused by the weather. It was far from passive, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right. 2 of my boilers were struck. And
what, by lightning?
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
It costs about 2,500 per one. The good thing about the dementia care home is that you get these funds just paid into your account. One of the dementia care homes I invested in just paid really handsome figures, £5,800 into my account, which actually is useful to be able to pay for that.
So it went straight out again for 2 boilers.
Right. Yeah, that's right. But if I haven't actually, invest in that, I will be looking somewhere else, because all the income now that you get, you have to have a contingency cost put aside for all this tax. I have to start thinking about having £2,000, £3,000. Now, if you multiply that that by 80, that means I've got to go get £180,000 somewhere else just to, you know, to try and do that. So it's quite, it's an opportunity for me to be able to diversify into commercial, because I can actually get money that is actually continuous, long term, and is fixed without doing anything.
Yeah, the beauty of it is that leaseback arrangement can go on for anything up to 25 years.
That's
It's
right.
long-term passive income. You know, where do you go from here? What next for Elizabeth?
To be honest, I'm trying to diversify more into commercial. And right now I'm trying to do a little bit of development. In the area where we bought the property, the land, I have 40, I think it's 40 apartment that we're going to build, we plan to build. And half of that apartment will go for the pensioners, really, because I think there's a shortage of a lot of pensioners who are trying to, you know, downsize. And that's what we're trying to do at the moment.
Well, that plays into that whole aging trend we talked
Yeah,
about.
that's
you know,
right,
Because
yes.
you've got, at one end, I suppose you have dementia care, but prior to that, people want to downsize from the family home into a retirement
That's
apartment.
right, yes.
But I think there's also going to be some commercial elements to that.
Because of the area where this site is located, we have a lot of Italian and Spanish. So what we think we would do is to try to make sure that we have a little bit of outlets. Co-op actually is interested in the area, and also Cafe Dinero because of the Italian. Starbucks, for example, and I understand that Amazon is looking for a pickup area.
Oh, right,
and so
okay,
we've
yeah,
tried to speak to all these people to try to make sure that we can, you know, take advantage of that, if you like, a gap in the area, really. Yeah, that's right.
So you've progressed from being a landlord to moving into commercial property to moving into property development.
Yeah, that's right. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And I think there's also some plans to give something back to the community as well.
You see, I believe that everyone falls into 4 categories, you see, of what you do and why you do them. You have your vocation, which is what you get paid to do. You can do anything really, from cleaning to, you know, the main focus is to get a job and to get money from that, which is like active income, really.
Yeah.
And then you have, you know, if you're lucky to be a professional, you know, like footballers, you have that because that's what you do. Then you have your passion. You know, if you have a passion, this is what you love to do. And so, you know, with your passion, even if you're not getting paid, you know, the motivation is there. And then you have your mission, which is what you give back to the world. What happened with, you know, your vocation and your profession is it involves actively working at something compared to your mission and also your passion. And what happened is you've got to earn something to be able to feed your mission. And so that's why it's very important that we make sure that we have something in terms of an asset that will actually give you a passive income that is hands-free, mind-free, hassle-free, so that you can concentrate on what you love and your mission, really.
Right.
You see, when I was actually growing up, my parents, what happened is that even though they are really hardworking, but they rent all their life. And we have a situation whereby landlord are seen as lord, and it's really, really stressful because, you know, in Africa, where I grew up, you have to pay 1 year in advance rent. 1 year in advance. And once that 1 year is paid, there's nothing. You know, and I remember talking to my mom one time. I said, well, you know, why do we give all this money to this land? And my mom said to me, Elizabeth, you've got to understand 2 things. Whoever puts a roof over your head is your Lord. They control what you eat. They control what clothes you put on. So make sure when you grow to be a Lord and have something. And she said to me, if you ever have to choose between going homeless and going hungry, make sure you do without food, because if you are outside and the shame and the lack of dignity will kill you faster.
Wow.
Than, you know, being home.
Well, you've certainly taken that lesson to heart, haven't you?
Exactly. And I thought, you know, I developed only anger for homelessness because of that, because of the dignity nature. And I've always wanted to help the homeless and the aging population, really, and things like that. And that's what my mission is, and that's what I'm going forward for.
Fantastic.
But obviously, I do need something to fund it, isn't it? You know, you might have your mission, but mission Ocean don't run on water.
No,
So this is
no.
why diversifying into, commercial is actually quite realistic for me. And that's the way to go.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So I think you're also giving back in the sense of mentoring other people who want to start getting into property investment.
Yeah, that's right. At the moment, I've got about 15 people that I'm actually giving a mentorship for how to create wealth. What I'm trying to achieve is to try to make sure that people start getting into the habit of saving, you see, because most of them do have money, but they waste it, and that's the problem. So what I said to them, one of the mentorship session, I remember telling people, when I asked them, what investment have you got? We haven't got any investment other than mortgage. And I said, well, look, what have you been doing with your income? Well, we're saving on ISA, cash ISA. And so I said, well, look, let me give you the definition of what you need to be doing. You need to be earning more. You need to be saving more. You need to be spending less. And you need to be acquiring assets without savings. And that's the way to go. So that's the starting point in terms of changing their mindset.
Long-term,
And
passive
it's a
income.
long-term, and then build a generational
I
wealth.
taught you well, Elizabeth. You
Yeah,
did a
you
great
did,
job
you
there.
did, you did, you
Excellent.
did.
Thank you very much for joining us
Thank
today.
you very much, Graham.
Thank you. Another really inspiring story from Elizabeth there. She wanted to get away from having to work 4 jobs, so she wanted to start buying some assets that would throw off income. And then as she developed that residential portfolio, she realized it still wasn't passive enough, so she went into commercial property, things like dementia care homes. Now she's got passive income and has taken the next step to becoming a property developer, and that's now powering her mission to help the homeless.